Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're going to go ahead and get into everything you need to know about AMC stock here in this video. There is a little bit of news as well that I do want to cover. So if you guys are ready, let's get ready and get straight into it. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to come trade with us live in real time, link down below in the description of this video as well. So first and foremost, there's a little bit of news today, specifically with AMC, that we're going to get into. AMC stock was up about 7%, give or take, at one point today. You're fighting around $8 per share. The markets themselves are falling now. The markets were up a lot more. You're starting to get quite the sell-off, so who knows where this takes us by the end of the day. But it is having an effect, it looks like, on AMC stock. The selling basically on AMC and the broader markets started around the same exact time. So you're not seeing that discorrelation between the markets and AMC stock today. In fact, they are correlating pretty closely at that. So that's the first thing that I want to say. You were up a lot more, but it's starting to kind of die down. Now, you'd never know. The markets could roar back by the end of the day, and AMC stock could go absolutely crazy. Now, this green move that we see in this upside volatility that let AMC stock hit $8.31 earlier in the trading day is having a small effect on the cost to borrow fees as well. This is the first thing I want to talk about because it's important. We are currently on Friday here in the last day of Q or fiscal year 2023, I should say. This is the last day of Q3. So this positioning is very important. A lot of stocks are not doing well today. A lot of stocks are doing well. Where money moves by the end of the day can tell you something very important. The fact that AMC stock is green right now does show at least there is some buying pressure. There are some hedge funds, institutions that are trying to maybe hedge out their positions. Even if they're not covering, they're trying to at least hedge out their positions, get some bullish positioning heading into 2024. Let's be honest here. What are the odds AMC could drop $2 down to $5 per share, or $3 technically if we're at $8 per share now? Well, your odds are pretty decent on that. If the markets do go through a big downturn, if you see a 20% plus drop from here, if you go into recession, well, that's obviously possible. What are the odds that AMC stock can hit $10 or higher? Probably better than not, considering we were just in the $40, $50 range on a split adjusted basis. So it doesn't make sense financially to be short in AMC for 2024 without some hedges, without some upside protection. That could be options, that could be buying shares, that could be a whole suite of different ways that hedge funds and institutions could be warning for, or I'm reading a headline, could be hedging for in all kinds of different ways. So that is something to definitely keep in mind, and now the cats are going at it. But the cost to borrow fees as of right now on Interactive Brokers about 2%. Cost to borrow average here on Ortex about 1%, but your cost to borrow max is rising to over 14% today. So a lot higher of numbers than you have seen recently, and that is again because of this upside volatility that we are experiencing today. Now, at the time of recording this video, you have about 22 million shares that are currently estimated to be sold short, with a short interest of free float at 11.1%. Now, there's something that you guys need to know here. The amount of shares sold short, the shorting activity has never been higher in AMC, but the amount of shares outstanding has recently grown because AMC has done an offering. So we need to see, does that float get shorted up? Does it get bought up by retail? What happens with those 40 million shares or so that the company just issued? So as of right now, we just don't have that information. Odds are you see a little bit of both, some buying on the retail side, some shorting on the hedge fund side. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, let's take a look at the option activity for right now and for today, and it's no surprise you don't have any. Let's pull up the bubble chart, though, and take a look at what we're looking at here. The calls are obviously winning. Today, AMC stock is up about 3% even still. The strikes that are right outside of the money are the ones that are more important. right? And I guess I would say they're all important, but especially at the $8 call, you have about 15,000 for open interest. At the 850, you have 11,000 for open interest. The 850 was almost in the money. The $8 call was already in the money today. So you really want to see and watch how the markets evolve throughout the end of the day today, and how AMC stock also evolves throughout the end of the day. If you close above $8 per share, there is a T+2 settlement time. So even though it is Friday, a lot of the hedging will take place today by the end of the day today, but you'll also see some hedging over the next 2 days or so if these $8 calls do go into the money. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense when you get into T+2, T+3, T+35, different things and settlement times. It does get a little bit confusing, but all you really need to know, boil it down, if you close above $8 per share, that's great. If you close above $8.50, that's even better. If you close above $9, that is your best case scenario. That would put AMC stock up about 10%, which I would say normally that's a little unrealistic to maybe see happen, or even say it's a possibility on any random day just going up 10% out of nowhere when the stock's up 3%. Usually doesn't happen like that, but today is the last day of Q3, so any of those hedges, any of those shorts covering, or any of that heading into fiscal year 2024, that's going to take place for the most part in the last couple of hours of trading. Especially the last hour of trading is going to be very volatile, and you guys should be watching to see how the volume is, how the flows are at that time. That is going to be very important. We'll give you an insight on maybe what to expect for fiscal year 2024. That means for Q4, the rest of this year, the holiday season, as well as the first 3 quarters in 2024 as well. That is probably a reason why markets are falling right now. The risk to reward does not look good if we go into a recession in 2024 to be long in stocks when you're near all-time highs. It's just not a good risk reward, right? So you're probably going to see a lot of hedging, maybe some selling here towards the end of the day. If AMC does inverse that, because unlike AMC, the risk to reward looks really good to be long in AMC for fiscal year 2024. Markets, not so much. You could get a divergence towards the end of the day. So go ahead and keep that in mind. Markets are falling as of right now, if my chart over here is correct, coming down a little bit as AMC stock is kind of making the upside move. So we'll have to see. I'll keep you guys posted and informed of anything that does happen here. Now, the markets, generally speaking, pretty bullish today. I would probably say the reason for this is PCE month over month came in at 0.1%, but you are getting that selling because the markets realize it doesn't even matter what PCE comes out as or CPI or anything like that. The Fed wants to see the economy go through a period of below trend growth, some weakness. Flirting with a recession is what the Fed ideally wants to really crush inflation. And if we had Fed Jerome Powell in a closed room and could ask him, what's really going on here, he would probably say, we want a mild recession. We want to reset prices. We want to crush inflation expectations and make it so businesses just don't raise prices anymore. That's what Fed Jerome Powell would say. And I think the markets are starting to figure that out. There's really no win-win here. There's just a lose-lose. You either go into a recession, the Fed cuts rates, or you don't, and you continue to see a good economy, or at least an economy that's not in a recession, and you have higher inflation, higher interest rates. That's why a lot of people are starting to talk about stagflation, which is stagnated growth and high inflation, or above trend inflation. That's not great. That's also another lose kind of scenario as well. So not so great things happening today. As far as the news here, this is actually interesting. So it says AMC stock's October 13th catalyst just got even bigger. And it goes on to say this film from Taylor Swift is expected to do 75 to 100 million in sales in the US opening. Now, Adam Aaron has said that the Swift move will be a huge catalyst for AMC, which is showing the movie at all of its theaters in the US and distributing it both domestically and overseas in the wake of Swift's announcement today. The CEO reported that the film will help AMC even more than he had previously believed. Says the Eras Tour, the artist film, is expected to be shown in over 100 nations. AMC announced today. Odeon Cinema, which AMC owns, will play the film at all of its theaters in Europe, and over 4,000 North American theaters are already slated to show the movie. AMC wants the movie to be shown in over 7,500 movie theaters around the world. The film was able to be made despite the ongoing Hollywood strikes due to Swift's direct negotiations with this company, SAG-AFTRA. Her father, Scott Swift, also came up with the idea of bypassing Hollywood studios and going directly to theaters like AMC to distribute it. Due to debut on October 13th, the documentary/concert film features Swift singing songs at her most recent tour. Experts expect the movie's opening to generate around $75 million to $100 million in the U.S. So Adam Aaron recently wrote on X, quote, we are so grateful to AMC supporters in Europe. You asked for this. Aaron also wrote, no one has greater respect and appreciation for Taylor Swift than all of us at AMC Entertainment. Her concert film of the Eras Tour is shattering our all-time record. So really that comment from Adam Aaron that he said they have even higher expectations for this film and what it could do for AMC's business. Again, they are the ones that are distributing this film directly, so they're going to benefit off basically anyone that goes to theaters anywhere that watches this film, from my understanding at least. So that is really good news. And I think once you ultimately get earnings, once AMC does turn another profit, and then they turn another profit, that's not a bearish situation for 2024. That's something you definitely want to be long on, not short in. So I think that's also another reason to say, hey, we should probably just cover on our short positions, or at the very least hedge out our short position. So it's going to make the end of the day very, very, very interesting for AMC stock. Now, if we take a look at broad numbers here as far as the option activity, it's been a very long time as well that you have seen the calls now outpacing the puts for many expirations down the line. You're not seeing that huge amount of puts anymore. If we take a look at Ortex as well and look at the put to call ratio, it is falling off of a cliff. Look at the put to call ratio now at 0.79. That means there is now more calls than there are puts, and you can see this reflected in the Stocko tracker data. About 21,000 calls currently in the money for today, 109,000 calls out the money. In the money puts at 5,600, out the money puts at 47,000. Next week you have almost a 2-to-1 ratio, 2-to-1 being calls compared to puts. Basically every single expiration you're getting almost a 2-to-1 ratio for the amount of calls compared to puts. So usually when you do see this, you tend to get bullish price action for weeks, for months. You tend to go on uptrends at this moment in time, at least what we have seen in the past, guys. So that's basically it for this video. As far as the 10-year treasury, that's down about 3.5 basis points. Oil is down about 0.61%, and 2-year treasury yields are down about 2 basis points. So you are seeing a little bit of that inversion to the yield curve that is continuing today, which I mean has been the trend recently, but you've kind of started to uninvert. You're seeing the 10-year treasury, which is falling more than the 2-year treasury. So you're starting to get that inversion again. That's actually a good sign for our markets, rather than the inversion showing that we're pretty imminently heading into a recession, and it has recently really uninverted. And that is probably a reason why markets have been getting a little jumpy, selling stocks a little bit more than normal as well. This is typically not a great thing when you start to uninvert. That's when you have a problem. That is when you are pretty close to actually going into a recession. So hopefully you guys learned something here in this video. That is going to do it for this one. We'll be back at 4 p.m. to give you guys a broad update on where the situation is with AMC stock. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comments section. Again, if you guys want to come trade with us live in real time, link down below in the description of this video as well. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.